and what we do in the event of an incident or emergency. Again, it's called Standard Response Protocol. The 5 actions are hold, lockout, lock down, evacuate, and shelter. And each action is always followed by a directive. Every action has specific instructions of what to do in the event of an actual emergency. Today, we're going to spend some time and review 4 of the 5 actions. We're going to talk about hold, lockout, evacuate, and shelter, and sometime in the future, we'll talk about lockdown. Let's start with the first one, which is hold. When a hold is called on the PA system, the action and the directive will be repeated. For example, please excuse this interruption. Please hold in your classrooms. Hold in your classrooms. Why do we need to go into a hold? We need to go into a hold when we need to keep the hallways clear. There might be a medical emergency, there could be a spill of some sort, or something else might need to be cleaned up. A hold may be localized to one part of our building, or it could be for the entire school. As students, what you need to do in the event of a hold is just to remain in your classroom until the all clear is given. If a hold occurs during a class change, you're to get to the nearest classroom, or if you're near your next scheduled class, you can proceed there as well. A hold is not a lockdown. We'll talk about a lockdown in our next discussion, but a hold is simply to make sure that you're staying in the classroom until we get whatever is going on in the hallway cleaned up, so then that we can all proceed throughout our day. Nothing else you need to do for a hold other than stay within your classroom. The next action we're going to talk about is lockout. And lockout means get inside, lock the outside doors. So the command that would be given over the loudspeaker would be, please excuse this interruption. We are in a lockout. Get inside, please lock the outside doors. Again, this is a lockout. Get inside, please lock the outside doors. What this means is, why would we use a lockout? We use a lockout when something dangerous is happening near the school. There's a threat outside the building and we want to protect the interior of our building. This could be criminal activity, this could be civil unrest, this could be something that's going on outside that we need to clear up. Whatever is going on outside, we don't want it to affect our operations within the building. So what we will do is we will lock the perimeter of the building, and we will proceed as business as usual. Our teachers will still continue to teach classes. We will continue to have lunch changes. You as a student, the only thing that you really need to be aware of here is if you are outside of the building in a lockout, the first thing you need to do is get in the building. Because if you're in a PE class and you're out on a field, we want to make sure that you are safe and secure within our building. So once you get in the building, we do not let anyone in or out. So if a lockout occurred during nest or lunch, we would not permit anyone in or anyone out of the building, depending on what's going on. Like I said before, it is just business as usual, and no one is left in or no one is left out. If a lockout occurred at the end of the day and we were unable to dismiss you, we would then proceed with different instructions on how we would schedule dismissal for that day. The next thing we're going to talk about today is evacuate, and we will use evacuate in the event of a fire drill. So for example, we would say, please excuse this interruption. This is a fire drill. Please evacuate to your specific locations. Again, with evacuate, it is always followed by a specific location. So maybe something might occur in one part of our building and we need to evacuate to a different location, part of our building, or maybe we would evacuate up to Eagle View. Evacuate is always followed by where we're going to evacuate to. As students, for an evacuation drill, unless you are told differently, you will leave all of your stuff behind. and you will listen for instructions. In the event of a fire drill evacuation, do not leave the building until you are told to do so, unless you sense danger, unless you see fire, unless you smell smoke. You know, we've all known things that have occurred in the past where a fire drill has been pulled and students have evacuated the building without specific instructions, and then unfortunately there are people waiting outside to do harm to those students. So in the event, anytime you hear a fire drill or evacuation, always wait for specific instructions unless you sense danger. The last drill we're going to talk about today is shelter. And for some of you might have heard the term shelter in place, as we do a shelter drill every year, probably since you've been in kindergarten. And for shelter, we perform shelter drills because something dangerous is happening, you know, and most likely environmental danger, like a tornado or an earthquake, or it could be a chemical spill nearby. So for a shelter drill, we will tell you what is occurring. And for example, we could say shelter for the stated hazard using a specific strategy. So for example, if it was a tornado, we would say, tornado in the area, please get to an interior location on the first floor. Again, shelter, there is a tornado in the area, please get to an interior location on the first floor. Or we might say, shelter, there is an earthquake occurring, please drop, cover, and hold. Again, shelter, there is an earthquake, please drop, cover, and hold. During a shelter, always listen for instructions, as the situation can be very dynamic. But our goal through all of these drills is to make sure that you're prepared for the unexpected and that you become a first responder for yourself. Okay, so let's just summarize what we talked about today. Today we talked about hold, meaning hold in your classrooms. We talked about lockout, when we lock the exterior perimeter of our school. We talked about evacuate, where we would evacuate to a location. We'll use evacuate when we conduct fire drills. And we also talked about shelter when we do our weather shelter drill later this year. The next time we talk, we will talk about lockdown and what we would do in the event of a lockdown protocol. Thank you.